quite intense 3 days, right? 4 days. Quite a alchemical cauldron we created with all the elements of each of our sharing, each of our presentation coming into this alchemical process of transformation. Recognizing the density of the reality, recognizing how deep is the rabbit hole, and by listening to each other, acknowledging each element of this alchemical process, we're going deeper into understanding of the complexity of the world. On the first day, on behalf of the 2025 initiative and the Hechal group, we invited us to consider our experience together as a learning through experiment in creating this safe space for difficult conversation. And for that, we invited us to invoke our imagination and vision to see us working as an outer ashram, as if, mainly utilizing the principles and the attitude that Tibetan master outlined for us. It's not to say that we are, but we always can use this magical technique of as if to learn what is the next stage for us. And in this magical process, the first stage is establishing basic harmony between the group members on the level of the soul of the group with ashramic group and with the master. And that's what we've been trying to do throughout these 4 days of the conference. And we recognize that this is just the beginning of the process. We're at the very beginning of that process. So we invite us now to move, or at least envision, the next stage, where all our positions, all our pieces of puzzles are on the table. We know how different we are in our perception of reality. And that's potentially can make our group vision much richer. From this stage, we move to the stage of bringing our pieces of puzzle together. And as in that image that I suggested the first day of us being astronauts and cosmonauts on an orbit of a new, far distant planet, new world that we're discovering, and being in a fleet of ships that's hovering on the orbit of this new planet. we're taking pictures of this new world. So now these all pictures are on the table. From now on, it's a hard labor of trying to bring those pictures together and see this new world in its entirety. And that's what we invite in us as a next stage. It's not a task for one day or 1 month, or it's a long journey. But let us begin it today. This is the quote from Agni Yoga, Part Sutra 472.
I will read it out. Prejudice, whether negative or positive, is wrong. It is opposed to every yoga. It cuts off the phenomenal aspect of ascent. One often confuses prejudice with straight knowledge. Yet these qualities are directly opposed to each other. Prejudice is an offspring of the mind, whereas the abode of straight knowledge is in the heart. Thus, one cannot compare the offspring of the mind with those of the heart. The acceptance of such a thing is not only erroneous, but also harmful, disparaging the activity of the heart. It can be observed how strata of prejudice are accumulated until the entire life is turned into a self-erected prison. But straight knowledge concerns cosmic truth. Hence, in itself, it does not contain anything disparaging. The self-development of straight knowledge induces solemnity of feeling. Thus, through different gates, we approach the abode of solemnity.
And hold the pause for a minute. And let us have now a meditative visualization that Sveta will lead us into.
Визуализация.
Visualization.
Найдем свою точку концентрированной тишины.
Let us find a point of focused silence within.
Выравниваемся с душой.
We align with the soul.
С группой и наивысшим источником, доступным для вас.
We align with the group and the highest source available to you.
Осознаем, что Бог поет свою симфонию через группы человеческих душ.
We recognize that God sings his symphony through groups of human souls.
Каждая нация — это уникальный инструмент в его оркестре.
Each nation is a unique instrument in this orchestra.
У каждой нации есть своя музыкальная партия.
Each nation has its own part to play in this symphony.
Каждая нация поет свою песню в положенный срок.
Each nation sings own song in the due time.
Может быть, это национальный гимн, единая призывная молитва народа.
Maybe it's a national anthem, a unified invoking prayer of the nation.
Через него нации поют о своей судьбе, о своей земле и о своих устремлениях.
Through it, each nation thinks about its destiny, its land, and its aspirations.
Подумайте о своем национальном гимне.
Ponder on your national anthem.
Попробуйте вспомнить гимны других наций или просто внутренне прислушайтесь.
Try to recollect anthems of other nations, or just listen internally to their tone.
Попробуйте уловить божественную гармонию, стоящую за внешним диссонансом.
Try to recognize inner harmony hidden by the outer dissonance.
Теперь внутренним взором посмотрите на карту мира, состоящую из национальных флагов.
With your inner eyes, look on the map of the world, made up of national flags.
Если какие-то места кажутся вам темными, мысленно очистите экран своего видения.
If any of the areas on the map seems to be darker for you, try to clean it with your inner intention, purifying it.
Пусть краски всех наций ярко сияют.
Let colors of all the nations illumine brightly.
Карта выглядит как калейдоскоп, но в ней одни и те же базовые цвета у всех наций.
The map looks like a kaleidoscope, but they're all the same basic colors in every nation.
Через них народы рассказывают о себе и о своих духовных задачах.
Through them, nations tell the stories of their inner spiritual tasks.
Зеленый, базовый, цвет растительного мира и райских садов мусульман.
Green is the color of the vegetable kingdom and the color of the paradise orchards of Islam.
Пусть земля расцветает.
Let the earth flourish and bloom.
Желтый, золотой, цвет животворного солнца, Будхи.
Yellow, golden is the color of life-giving sun, Buddhi.
Цвет национальных богатств и потребности души наций делиться ими.
It's the color of national wealth and the soul needs to share those.
Поддержите его циркуляцию.
Support this circulation.
Красный – это преданность национальным идеалам и готовность бороться за них.
Red is devotion to national ideals and readiness to fight for them.
Пусть это будут духовные идеалы.
Let those be spiritual ideals.
Синий – символ любви, смирения и самопожертвования.
Blue is the symbol of love, humility, and self-sacrifice.
Он выражает связь воды земной и небесной.
It expresses connection of earthly waters and heavenly waters.
Это цвет правильных отношений, И мы часто видим его сегодня на мировых площадках.
It is the color of right relationship. And we often see it on the global platforms these days.
Давайте вместе усилим его влияние в мире.
Let us together increase its influence in the world today.
Черный — это то, что еще не проявлено.
Black is what is not yet manifested.
Черный также выключает, поглощает другие цвета, доминирует над ними.
Black also switches off, absorbs other colors, dominating them.
Подумайте об этом.
Ponder on this.
Белый — цвет духовной чистоты, мира и воскрешения. Это синтез всех цветов.
White is the color of spiritual purity, peace, and resurrection. It's the synthesis of all colors.
Вместе с фиолетовым — это также цвет входящего седьмого луча.
Along with the violet, it's also the color of the incoming seventh ray.
Он организует пространство так, что между нациями не останется трещин.
It organizes the space thus that there will be no more cleavages between the nations.
Он сбалансирует, сплавит в гармоничном созвучии голоса всех наций.
It balances, fusing in harmonious unison voices of all the nations.
Просто давайте послушаем, что именно Бог хочет выразить через красоту этой великой симфонии.
Let us just listen what God intends to manifest through the beauty of this great symphony. Let us hold this silence a little bit longer. And as we hold this position of elevated vision and recognition, to unite in music of this great symphony. As astronauts and cosmonauts on the orbit of this new world. That's, interestingly enough, if we look close, it looks like planet Earth. Let us share what we recognize, what we start recognizing. So if anyone would like to share, please raise your hand, and maybe anyone from the group of presenters could share anything about our experience holding our positions on this orbit of this planet, and about our journey that started a while ago in preparation for this conference.
Yeah, I can say a few words. I would like to say a few words about our process. In our cooperation, the 2025 initiative and the Hechal group, when the tension in the world became stronger, and especially around Ukraine. In Ukraine, of course, we felt this tension also between us. And we have started to dedicate to it a weekly slot. It was Alexander and Katja and Helen and me. Now lately, Daniela has joined us. Touching in a way this shared pain that allows us to live our love across divides and even deepen it, and learn a lot. We have learned so much from this. I think it's now a year or so that we are meeting, and also maybe a year or maybe even more. I think my relationship with Denise and Sveta has developed. It started with me helping Denise with his book, making it more, maybe a little bit more readable, more easy for Western ears to get the message. Yeah, so for me, this the preparation for this conference is, and this conference, of course, is like a culmination point of a journey of the heart, no matter what. So what we brought now here in this conference, creating safe space for difficult conversations, is actually, it's the fruit of our work together. We also, some of us the Hechal and 2025 people. We also had the great joy to meet in December in Jerusalem, in Israel, also in the Galilee. So this physical togetherness, of course, has also contributed. So it's not only looking at the planet from outside, but it is also deepening in our hearts, seeing the one heart between all of us. And once we master this, then to find solutions together is not so difficult anymore. Yeah, so for me, having a meditation that a Russian and a Ukrainian lead together like this is a very important touchstone. And to be continued. Thank you.
Thank you, Uja. Just like to add that the long journey of the last year or two for these different groups, which have all been deeply involved in dialogue, has interfaced beautifully with the last 6 weeks of dialogue we've had preparing for this conference. And so we're seeing the fruits in many ways of these difficult conversations coming to bear, at least creating a seed in Aries to be sown and to bear fruit further on down the track. It's something that can't be done overnight. Obviously, it's a long process. So I really appreciate particularly your role, Uta, in liaising with so many different groups and holding that, keeping in that holding pattern, so to speak, and persevering, everyone persevering, in fact, to this point of the conference. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank us all for this. Quite an achievement.
And you can add to that it's definitely been and is a difficult and challenging journey. And for us, it's big part of this journey was trusting the process, trusting each other and holding the space of love among ourselves. And even this session, we were finalizing it till the last moment, and this visualization and meditation, was just born today. Probably it was used before, I don't know, but for this conference as an idea, it was adopted, and it was just listening what is true now, what is unfolding. And that, I feel, is the important element of any group process. Holding alignment with the higher point, holding group antahkarana, group channel open, and listening. And trusting that the guidance will be given in any group that can work with that trust is part of this process.
And that's the uniqueness of this conference and similar conferences. We're not just preparing rote talks to just turn up and present at a certain time. There's a lot going on behind the scenes continually that is generating spontaneous creative solutions, which is really the great dynamic behind the scenes of this conference, I think.
There's
So-
a comment from Sabine. Sveta means light. Thank you for this enlightened vision transferred by you two, Sveta and Alexander, pronounced for the astronauts and the cosmonauts, which are trying to become. We are trying to become. The overview may have got a new radius for all of us. Thanks to all of us.
Thank you, Сабина. Александр, ты сможешь перевести?
Да.
Для нас эта конференция, это состояние, которое у нас сегодня, эти дни было, имеет огромное значение.
For us,
Мгм.
this conference and this state of our presence had an important role. It's very important for us.
Последние годы мы чувствовали, что есть энергия, есть определенное качество энергии, которое доступно здесь и которое нам просто необходимо передать вам, тем, кто представляет сегодняшний Запад, эту половину.
For the last few years, we had recognition. There is a certain energy that is present here, and we have to communicate and share this with you, those who represent what we call the West.
И даже не то, что мы говорили на наших презентациях, а именно то, что звучало за нашими словами. Мы очень хотели передать это вам.
And it's not so much what we shared in our presentations, but what was behind these words, our intention, and that's what we wanted to share with you.
Спасибо большое за это еще одно окно в Европу, духовное окно.
Big gratitude for this, yet another window to Europe, spiritual window.
И я бы тоже хотел поделиться, I want to share. Я буду говорить по-русски. Александр, поможешь?
Да.
Это действительно большая работа, и эта конференция позволила сейчас взглянуть ретроспективно на нашу совместную работу с Утой и с Александром.
Pause. It's a big work that's been happening, and it allowed us to look retrospectively to all the work that's been happening between us with Uta and Alexander.
С Александром мы около года назад начали обсуждать ситуацию в мире, которая сейчас происходит, и потом отложили этот диалог и, наверное, готовы продолжить после конференции.
Around a year ago, we started conversations with Alexander discussing the situation in the world, and then we paused it, postponing it, and probably now after the conference we could continue this.
С Утой мы познакомились, наверное, года 2 назад, и это было для нас действительно открытие, потому что та работа, которую она начинала с Creative Lab по исследованию наций, она была очень близка для нас.
We met Uta probably around 2 years ago, and it was a great joy and discovery for us because the work that Uta's been doing in research through Creative Lab, research of nations, was very resonant for us.